A great take gives you 200 points, and a good take gives you 100. An okay take gives you 50. A bad take, you come home empty-handed with 0 points. We will start with Justin Fields, who was just traded to my Pittsburgh Steelers over this weekend for a 6th-round pick that could turn into a 4th-round pick for Chicago, depending on if Justin plays about half the team's offensive stats or snaps. We'll see what happens in that regard if that pick continues or that pick is able to move up. But I will start with you, Mike Guido. The Chicago Bears are the odds-on favorite at this point to draft Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. They still do have another first-round pick. Did the Bears make the right move in trading in trading Justin Fields to my Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, I think they did. I think if you have a chance to get a talent like Caleb Williams, I think you absolutely take it. And listen, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Justin Fields, his career certainly doesn't have to be over, right? Like, and you know this as a Pittsburgh guy, it's, very reasonable that Russell Wilson could flop a little bit, and it wouldn't take much for Justin Fields to take over the reins over there. But here's the thing with the Bears. I do think that they made the right decision of trading Justin Fields. I don't think that they made the right decision of keeping Matt Eberflus. I think that could turn out to be a rougher situation than most people are giving it credit for. Now, Eberflus isn't a bad coach, but because here's the thing. The issue is that Justin Fields has improved himself pretty much every single year. If you look at his quarterback rating, his completion percentage, they've all progressively gotten better in his 3 years. So there still is some upside there. But now that you're going to be drafting Caleb Williams, I feel like you had an opportunity to have, with the league moving into an offensive direction, inserting an offensive coach to then kind of supplement that. So yeah, I think they made the right decision of trading Justin Fields. I just don't know that they got the situation exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like they could have gotten more for Justin Fields, and I think reports came out saying that the Bears were looking to, I guess, do right by Justin because by and large he handled himself pretty well within the organization, considering the fact that they were considering drafting number 1 if they were to get that pick via Carolina. And so from that perspective, like you give a lot of respect to Ryan Poles in the front office in Chicago, that if there was a slightly better offer, maybe, unless there was one that blew their socks up, the fact that they were looking to do right by the guy who played there for the last 3 years while also saying, hey, we're going to move in the future with a significantly more talented guy with a much higher upside and one of the great talents that many scouts have seen in the last decade or so. I think you definitely give props to the Chicago Bears in that regard. So a good take by Mike Guido, 100 points here to start the night for you. I think again, also what we forget is the fact that the salary cap sort of process has been basically reset now that you don't have to worry about paying Justin Fields. If Caleb Williams is amazing, you still don't have to pay him anything for 3 years. So from that perspective, from a financial perspective, the Bears are in good shape. I'll go to you now, Tim. Did the Chicago Bears make the right move in trading Justin Fields to my Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, I'm solely off the Caleb Williams train. I've been off his train for a very long time. And literally, I'm not trying to sit here and deny the talent that the guy has. The problem that I see with Caleb Williams, and I've said on this show time and time again, is the fact that he has a messed up head. When you have USC go into their bowl game, just absolutely dominate with the backup who throws for 6 touchdowns, and the whole team is chanting afterwards that, or we a team now. I mean, if Caleb Williams isn't there and the team is chanting we a team, I mean, I feel like that kind of says a lot, on top of course, his crying in his mother's arms, doing all that type of stuff. And it's not so much the crying as it was just the downright sobbing after a loss, like his team isn't good enough, all this type of stuff. But also, too, I like Justin Fields. I think with him getting drafted, with Matt Nagy, Matt Nagy being his last year, he's then getting fired, going to Matt Eberflus, and I feel like there's just been all this stuff going on. And last season was the first season where he had DJ Moore, right? And this is a primetime pick where, you know what, the Bears could trade out of it. They have a young quarterback where they could sit there and continue to build pieces around him. Now, listen, Justin Fields was, up and down, like 100%. I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and start winning Super Bowls for the Bears. But at the same time, You have a very deep draft class. Minnesota. Well, you're not going to trade with Minnesota. Let's be honest. It's Chicago, but you could fall back and recoup a million other picks for the number 1 overall. You don't have to sit there and take a quarterback when you have a young kid entering his 4th
10
year
seconds, Tim.
with the Bears. So you still have 2 years to figure it out with him. I don't know. I feel like they kind of jumped the gun, and they did right by him, but it was just I don't like Caleb Williams.
Well, listen, I think the criticism in regards to the bowl game, it's not I don't think you can argue it's a good look for Caleb Williams, especially in a lot of ways. You can go back and look at the fact that virtually every quarterback, basically outside of Spencer Rattler, works with Lincoln Riley. Like they all, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. And so you look at it from that perspective, you say, okay, does that factor in? I'm not as bothered by the crying as I've always, maybe this is just the soft side of me, but I've always been athletes who cry. I'm like, I'd much rather take that guy than a Ben Simmons or Jay Cutler, who I don't even know if he really cares that much about winning. I'll take the guy who's, I don't want to say is too over emotional. You can make me argue that case, maybe going to his mother in the stands, but I'd rather take the guy who's maybe too emotional than not there enough, because I feel like I can rein back the guy.
I'm sorry to cut you off. It's one thing to cry and be emotional. It's another thing to do exactly what he did, run into his mother's arms, talking about how he wants to just go home, sit on the couch and watch his stories. I mean, it wasn't just the crying. It was everything about it. And the quarterback is such a mental position that, that's why I put a little checkbox next to, I don't know about that.
That's fair. No, that's totally fair. And I'm giving you a good take for the segment, by the way. 100 points for Tim Barnard to time with Mike Guido. Yeah, I think, what's funny is I like that both of y'all came from opposite sides of this, because I actually agree with both of you for different reasons. I think both teams won this trade. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers get a guy with high upside who, if Russell Wilson doesn't pan out, okay, you're paying Russell Wilson $1.2 million. You can move to a guy with higher upside, far higher upside than Kenny Pickett shipped his butt to Philadelphia. Good riddance. And then you consider, a guy in Caleb Williams, who again has the upside that is higher than that of Justin Fields. By the way, sneaky story. Chicago's building a pretty darn good football team. They just traded for Keenan Allen. They just added DeAndre Swift. They have I believe the 10th overall pick in the draft. This could be a team that in a weak NFC could vie for a playoff spot. I don't think they're as good as Detroit. Right now, I think Detroit by far is the best roster in that division. But that Green Bay-Chicago thing could go back and forth and definitely could be a story this season.